for goals, scouting for goals. We want the finish, we want the goal. Scouting for goals, scouting for goals. Say it with us now, let it unfold. Scouting for goals. Scouting for goals.
Right, I think this is it. I think we're ready. Yeah. Right, hello, welcome to the Scouting for Goals podcast. I'm James, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hello there.
And Dean.
Hello.
Right then, I suppose we should start by telling us a bit more about each other, shouldn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm James. How old am I? I'm 25, and I support Birmingham in the Championship. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Ryan, you want to go next?
Okay. Ryan, aka Big Dog. I am 28 and I support Liverpool.
Dean?
Dean, also 28, unfortunately made the decision to be a Wolves fan, which has turned out brilliantly this season.
Can't believe you address yourself as the Big Dog. That's shocking, that.
Yeah, shocking for the Big Dog.
So, I reckon we start off with a bit of Championship chat. So, obviously, Championship season finished yesterday. So, how do we think Coventry are going to do in the Prem? Because obviously they finished on 95 points this season. They've won the Championship quite easily. But do you think they've got enough in their squad to stay up?
I suppose time will tell when we see what sort of a transfer window they have as well. What incomings they can bring into the club. I mean, Lampard's proven in the past with Chelsea that when he's got a young squad with him, he can get something out of them. I know then typically it took a bit of a dodgy turn afterwards once they had their transfer ban and they could start to sign older players and bring in more people into the club.
It's a trend with Chelsea though, isn't it, with managers?
Yeah.
They seem to get through a lot of managers no matter who it is anyway.
Yeah.
But no, it will be interesting to see how they get on. And they've got a few decent players in their squad, haven't they? It's just how well, like you said, how well they can bolster their squad, isn't it, really? The other team that went up was Ipswich. Now, Ipswich are a bit of a yo-yo team, so they go up and down an awful lot. Do you think, Ryan, they're going to stay in the Prem? With a decent transfer window?
With a decent transfer window, then possibly. Obviously, Kieran McKenna's got experience in the Premier League. He had a season last year, didn't he? And they weren't far off staying up. A little bit like what Dean said with Coventry, they need to keep a couple of the key players. And obviously need to bolster again in the summer. I think a lot of it depends on the other teams in and around that stays in the Premier League as well. The teams that are in and around the relegation zone, what sort of players they bring in as well, because for the teams that are coming up these days, it's not just about spending big; it's also about spending wisely.
Yeah, agreed.
Because if you buy 8-9 players, it's going to take a lot of time for these players to gel in. And in the Premier League, you don't have that time.
No.
I think a lot of it for most teams that come up from the Championship as well, it's about actually using your money to try and find the best deals in the market and getting players that are actually going to be able to produce at a Premier League level. Because you see it too many times where Championship teams will come up, but then they're signing Championship-esque players or spending above and beyond for players that haven't fully proven themselves yet.
Yeah, that's true. It's like shopping in England is really expensive, isn't it? So a lot of teams will shop abroad.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of players they either make it in the Premier, they don't they? Because it's a completely different type of league to, for instance, the Bundesliga or the Spanish league. Okay, so from the 4 teams in the playoffs, so who do you think's going to go up out of them? So obviously we've got Hull, we've got Millwall, we've got Hull, Millwall, Middlesbrough.
Wrexham as well.
No, Wrexham didn't make it in.
Were they not?
No, not in the end.
It was Hull, Millwall, Southampton.
That's it. Southampton was the other one.
And the 4th team was...
who did I say? Hull, Millwall, Southampton, Yeah, it was Hull, Millwall, Southampton, and Millwall. No, I said Millwall twice.
Yeah, Millwall, Southampton.
Who?
I'm trying to
But it's a tough one because playoffs are really unpredictable, aren't they? So
Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
So obviously it's 3rd v 6th, which is Millwall, Hull.
Yeah.
And then Southampton against Bury.
The irony if Middlesbrough go up after Rob Edwards left.
Yeah,
Wolves,
that's
take
true.
the Wolves job.
Well,
people were saying that at the time, though. Obviously, when he took the Wolves job, it's like you're leaving a team that could potentially get promoted to join us at the time, which pretty much guaranteed to go down, as has been the result.
It's a tough one. I'd love Millwall to go up. I don't think they've ever been in the Premier League since it's been called Premier League. And they're obviously quite a tough team, so they bring a bit of physicality to the league.
But also in the stands.
Realistically, I'd go with Southampton. I think they've got the quality to. They've had a good end to the season as well.
If you go based on form, then Southampton are probably the team that would most likely go up, but it doesn't go based on form in the playoffs, does it? So
no, not at all.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call. If I was to say, I would probably put my bets on Southampton, but I wouldn't be surprised if any of them went up. Well, probably not Hull.
You don't think Hull?
I don't think Hull would do it myself, but
to be fair to Hull, they've had a very good year to go sixth.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Well, they just scraped in at the end, didn't they?
Because Wrexham dropped points at Middlesbrough.
They're all to Middlesbrough yesterday.
So, tell you what, though, Hull, Ollie McBurney's had a cracking year, considering I think he was a free agent at the start of the season. So there was a few teams sniffing around him, but you'd have never thought he'd have done as well as he has. So he's had a great year at Hull. So I think Southampton. Did you say Southampton as well? Yeah,
I would put my bets on Southampton. Yeah,
right.
I think just for that irony, if anything else, I'm going to go for Middlesbrough. So why not? I think it's boring if I go Southampton as well, so I'm going to go out of the box and just go Middlesbrough.
Right.
They're level on points with Southampton, so it could go either way.
Yeah. Right then. So we've done Championship. What about the 3 teams that have come down from the Prem? Well, the two confirmed teams at the moment are Wolves and Burnley, aren't they? And the third team's out of Spurs and West Ham.
Yeah.
So obviously, Dean, you're a Wolves fan.
Yeah.
How do you think you'll do in the Championship?
Well, at the moment, things are looking a bit bleak if you're a Wolves fan. To be honest, though, I'm welcoming it because I think, if anything, a fresh start will do us some good, and the squad definitely needs an overhaul and a rebuild. Get a few fresh places in there, people that hopefully come into the club and actually want to be at the club and not just sitting there picking up a wage. It'd be interesting as well. Like, people are already calling for Rob Edwards to be sacked, and to be honest, I don't see any point in doing that at the moment because he's not actually had time to set his vision in the club and actually see what we can do when he's built a squad with what he wants to do. And coming into this job already was going to be a tough task. So I think to say that he should be sacked already.
Do you think you'll have many players leave?
Personally, yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of people leave. I won't be surprised João Gomez be one of the first names to be snapped up by.
He's been linked already to a few teams, hasn't he?
I've heard a few transfers, rumours to like Juventus with like Andre that have been on and off a few times as well. Supposedly, I've heard rumours about him also staying at the club, but I personally don't see it happening. I think we'll hang on to a couple of players. Like I can see some of our, less big name players staying, but at the moment,
do you think Mane will stay?
I think keeping Mane will be crucial and key to us being in the Championship. I think players like that you've got to rely on in the Championship. Get those young, hungry players that actually want to play week in and week out. And I think the Championship, we can hopefully see the best out of Mane as well, which should be good.
Because he's sort of been your only bright spark, hasn't he?
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, obviously, our midfield as well. Our holding midfielders have been solid, but I mean, aside from that, it's been woeful all around, I think. You've got players like Jackson Chachua coming into the club that have just been absolutely woeful.
Well, he's just got pace, hasn't he, Chachua? Yeah, he's not gone much else. He was
on the premise that he was fast, not that he's actually a decent footballer, and that's been clear. But yeah, I'm hoping, to be honest, I think if we manage to do right for once, and we need to go back to how we were before, instead of spending big money on players that haven't been as proven, we need to start trying to see what deals we can find within the transfer market, look into other leagues, trying to develop some younger players, whilst also hopefully picking up a few veterans to bolster the squad as well.
That's exactly what you did, isn't it, when you signed like Ruben Neves and
And we had success with that for a lot of time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was when, like, from probably the Fabio Silva transfer onwards that we started getting a bit more questionable and I think a bit more aggressive in the market. But then I think that slowly started leading towards our downfall as well. I mean, I always see us being a selling club anyway, because I don't think we're big enough to maintain those big name players. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see how things go. I'm hoping for, to be somewhere around the playoffs next season though, but we'll see. I mean, we could potentially challenge, but we'll just see what sort of signings come in.
Obviously, playoffs next year has changed, so it's now 3rd to 8th to get playoffs. So if you're not in the top 8 teams, I think
we should definitely be there. Yeah,
for
100%.
To be fair,
there.
What about Burnley then? Because obviously Burnley are another yo-yo team. They never seem to stay up in the Prem for more than a season, but then when they come down, they always seem to be too good for the Championship as well. So it's a tough one for Burnley. Obviously, with Leicester coming down last year, there's always going to be a thing in the back of their minds of could they do another Leicester? Are they going to go down again, depending on who they lose? Or it's a weird one, isn't it, with Burnley? I never quite know how they're going to.
Like you say, you get teams like that. There was Norwich a couple of years ago that were the exact same, weren't they? They would come down and then they'd come straight back up again. And Burnley are definitely one of those teams. It's like you say. I think it all depends on what players leave in the summer. Obviously, I know Scott Parker's now left.
Yeah.
And what sort of players they bring in, because, like you say, you could have a situation again where it could be like another Leicester. I mean, Luton did it a couple of years ago when they come straight down. And there was Wolves going back a fair few years. They did exactly the same, I think. From Premier League straight down to League One. I don't know. There's something about Burnley. They've got. I think they'll be all right.
I can see Burnley coming top 8.
Yeah,
but whether they'll go back up, but I'm not sure. Obviously, it's hard to say without a transfer window, isn't it?
Yeah, I think regardless of what happens, they'll be a stable Championship club because they've always been in the mix somewhere. I can't really see them slipping down to League One per se, but I mean, it's football. Anything can happen.
I suppose the main one then, Spurs or West Ham. It's the main last relegation spot. 2 big clubs, both London clubs. Either way, it looks like next season there's going to be a stadium with at least a 60,000 capacity, which is monumental for the Championship, really. So, who, Ryan, do you think it's going to be out of them two at this current moment? So, what game week are we on? 35.
So we're on
35.
Yeah, we're on. Well,
for context, Spurs Villa has not long kicked off. So, yeah, they've just started their 35th game, haven't they? So there's 3 games left for them.
Yeah,
and there's 2 points currently between Spurs and West Ham. So it's tough, isn't it?
Yeah, as things stand at the moment, it's still 0-0, so obviously it's only the 1 point. I said a week or two ago, I thought if I had to choose, I would have said West Ham would have been the ones to stay up. I just think with Nuno, I think they've got players there that are match winners. Obviously, they've got Joe Bowen, but a couple of strikers in that not don't look too bad. They got Fernandes in midfield who I rate. But obviously, Saturday they lost. They lost 3-0 to Brentford. They had a couple of questionable penalty shouts, and I don't think 3-0 fully reflected the game from what
No, it wasn't a 3-0 game.
No. It'll be interesting. Obviously, Spurs. Depends what sort of result they get today, because obviously they'll know the fact that West Ham lost yesterday, and they'll want to, minimum get a point. And ideally, obviously, if they won, they'd go 1 point ahead of West Ham. So it's interesting. I think both teams have got interesting fixtures left. The last couple of games of the season.
West Ham's next game's Arsenal, isn't it?
So West Ham's next 3 games Arsenal at home, Newcastle away, and Leeds at home.
I think 2 out of them 3 are winnable for West Ham.
Yeah.
Newcastle won't be playing for anything. Leeds are safe pretty much now, aren't they?
Yeah, Leeds are pretty much safe.
And obviously you'd expect Arsenal going for the league to be able to beat them. Now, obviously Spurs have got Villa now, haven't they?
Spurs have
Leeds
got...
after that, then Chelsea, then Everton.
See, I think they've got the harder running because I can see them struggling against... I know Chelsea have been out of form.
I'd still expect them to pick up points against this Tottenham side, though.
So it's a tough one. So you think...
I would have said West Ham. I think
to stay up or to go down?
To stay up.
Right.
I think it very much depends on the result we get today with the Spurs game. I think if with the Villa game, if Spurs do pick up maximum points, I think I'd probably change my mind a little bit. But
it'll be 2 wins from 2 as well then, wouldn't it? After the win against Wolves,
9 points left. You know, if Spurs were 1 point ahead with 9 points left to go, I'd probably edge Spurs. But I really wouldn't be surprised if West Ham stayed. The fact is that second last game of the season, Chelsea away for Spurs. Chelsea will definitely not.
Could be the deciding game.
Yeah,
depending on the West Ham result.
Well, that's it. It could well determine. Obviously, you've got the Aston Villa. You've got the Aston Villa game there. You've got the Leeds game. It could be in a situation where it could be a deciding game. That second to last game, but Chelsea will definitely not. They will do everything in their power to make sure that Spurs go down.
Yeah.
So I would say Spurs to stay up, but I wouldn't be surprised if
Spurs to stay up.
I would say Spurs to stay up now.
Yeah.
Based on what happened yesterday with West Ham.
Right.
But I wouldn't want to be a betting man on it.
No. Dean?
I think more so for the chaos of it. Tottenham going down. I mean, they scraped by last season. I'm not sure if this season they're going to be lucky enough to do the same. Whereas I think in the past they've had players that can bring them up when they're in moments like this, and they have had game winners. At the moment in their current squad, I can't see anybody doing that for them. Yeah, they might have had Xabi Simons, but now he's out as well.
Well, that was my next thing, is that they've been quite unlucky with injuries, because obviously Siemens is now out. He's done his ACL. Solanke's now injured, so they've lost their main striker. They've been plagued with injuries all season. So West Ham have still got their key player in Jarrod Bowen. And being a West Ham fan as well, he's going to have something to fight for, whereas I feel like this Spurs team just isn't fighting for anything at the moment.
I think with Tottenham's case, it's a classic example of they've lost big players, they've had poor recruitment, they've just almost tried to play like Football Manager, I think, at times, signing young players that they think are going to end up being these hot prospects in a couple of seasons, and they're going to be able to get a lot of longevity out of these players, when really what they need is more veterans into the squad, more people that are capable of winning Premier League games and that can lift those younger players up, instead of just going for that younger player approach as a whole. Well, I don't think it's done them well, as it's shown in the table.
Similar to what you've said, Ryan, I think if Spurs pick up a win today against Villa, I think West Ham might go down. But anything less than a point today...
Tottenham 1-0.
Is it Tottenham 1-0?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go then.
Scored.
So I think it's still be tough, because I think West Ham they've got more fighting in them than Spurs. But I mean, imagine Spurs in the Championship. It'd be colossal for them as a club. The amount of money they'd lose on just TV games and sponsorship deals alone would be monumental. Plus, then you've got their star players leaving. Like Van der Ven's not going to stick around. Neither Xavi Simons.
Kudus.
Yeah, Kudus.
Those type of players, like you say, they're not going to stay there, are they?
No, I mean, even West Ham, though, they're a massive club with a lot of. I mean, they got loads of sponsors, and again, I know you get parachute payments from being relegated, but like what we said earlier, it's about how you spend that money.
I think it's more the detrimental effects. If you were to say this, okay, like you say, with the stadiums that both of those teams have got, especially Spurs, you look at that. Could you ever imagine Spurs playing like Derby County in the Championship?
I mean, mad.
A team, a team with a stadium that is built for European nights. and not the so-called
So we're playing
stature of the club
Legion next season.
the stature of the club. It's it would be extremely detrimental if Spurs was to go down. To be honest with you, and
who do you think's to blame then for this Spurs downfall? Do you think it's the backroom staff that are recruiting the players? Do you think it's the owners? Do you put the onus on the players?
I think it's a mixture of everything. To be honest with you, mate, I look at it.
But it's not just this season, is it?
No,
last season they were 16th. Last season, weren't they?
Yeah,
17th.
They were. Yeah, I think they were 16th. Yeah, because I think Man United. I think 16th or 15th. Yeah. It was around about that ballpark. And the only reason their season survived so well was because obviously they won the Europa League final, wasn't it, last season? Because otherwise, there'd have been Ange would have definitely gone. I know Ange went anyway after the Europa League final.
Yeah.
They obviously thought at that point, okay, well we'll start afresh now. We've won the Europa League. We're now in the Champions League. We can get the money to bring in players that can hopefully bolster the squad and improve the squad. We bring in a manager that has had a very good time at Brentford, and maintained a good standing in the Premier League. So it looked at the start of the season that Spurs would start off really well, but it always comes back to it. It's the mentality of the Spurs. It's mentality of Spurs. The Spurs, whatever it is, whether it's the owners, the players, backroom staff, or there is a thing at Spurs where when the going gets tough, they roll over and it capitulates. Now, if they were to stay up this season, that's the minimum. The minimum that Spurs should be doing is staying up.
Thing is,
there is a definite issue at Spurs. There is a 100% definite issue.
Like you look at Man United last year, right? So Man United were 16th, 15th last year, something like that. This season they're third. So whatever happened last season has been wiped away. They've started again, haven't they? And it's worked. Spurs haven't done that. They've got worse, if anything, than what they were like last season. So it's hard. Part of me still doesn't think sacking Ange was the right thing to do. I think he'd have got them higher up than what they are now. And I mean, since then they've had Thomas Frank, sacked him after 8 or 9 games, didn't they?
I think it was a bit more than that.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a lot more than that.
Either way, Spurs fans wanted him out. And I get the football probably wasn't the best and they were struggling. But even now they're still struggling. I don't think it matters who the manager is. It's like you said, it's that mentality at the club at the moment that's at an all-time low. It seems to be horrendous there. But to answer the question, I think it'll be Spurs that go down currently.
In your opinion?
Depending on this Villa result, at the moment I would say Spurs, purely based off that mentality. I think West Ham will not be fighting them. But, I mean, it wouldn't be fair it wouldn't be nice for the Spurs fans, really, would it, going down? And I mean, being a club from London, I bet they get a lot of like touristy fans go. They go to London, they go, watch a game. Spurs is one of the biggest clubs in London, so they'd lose all of that because they'd go to watch another London team. But yeah, it'd be a shame for the fans if that was to happen.
100%. Catastrophe, mate.
Talking of it being a shame for the fans, Sheffield Wednesday situation. So obviously they started this season on minus 18 points. Their owner's been awful. He's refused to sell effectively. He then put them into administration. Point deduction before the season even started, along with a transfer embargo. So couldn't sign anyone. What an awful season they've had in terms of, obviously they knew they were relegated before a ball was kicked. And they haven't been able to recruit, so they've relied heavily on youth players. Now, they finished the season yesterday on 0, so they've accumulated 18 points throughout the season, which, to be fair, for the squad they've got, is quite an achievement. But I want to know, do you think, in that situation, should the club be punished via a points deduction, which ultimately punishes the fans more than it does the club. When the fans are like the heartbeat of the club, it's not their problem that this financial situation's happened. So do you think it's fair to punish a club by punishing the fans, or do you think it's justified?
No, I don't think it's justified. I don't. I think the issue the issue you're always going to have when there's a financial issue is that the fans or the players are always going to be the ones that get penalised because they're not they're not going to penalise the owners or what else is that they can do bar deduct points or put them into financial administration. I'm not too well. It's always gonna. It's always going to be the players and the fans that get affected, unfortunately, in these sorts of situations. So as much as it's it's not fair, it's the situation that it is.
Now, obviously, they're the first team to ever be relegated on 0 points, which is a shame for them. However, yesterday, I don't know if you've seen it, at the final game of the season, the club was took over, and they announced on their scoreboard that their I think it was -15 for next season, had been eradicated. So they'll start next season in League One on 0. So at least they've had a nice end to the season. They got their first and only home win of the season. Points deduction for next season's gone, and they're under new ownership. So I suppose with the season they've had, at least they've had a happy ending to what's been a shambolic season for them through no fault of the fans or even the players, to be fair, because the players have done better than expected.
Sheffield Wednesday at one point in Premier League club as well, so to be them in this situation is...
Well, you look at Health was a huge stadium, and it's been like not even half full pretty much all season. It's a shame really what's happened. But going back onto the Spurs thing, right, linking it to Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday have had fight this year. They know they've been down, but they've gone into every match trying to win. They've gone into every match to win. And that's the type of mentality I think some of the bigger clubs need to find from somewhere, particularly the likes of Spurs, because I'd even say Sheffield Wednesday have had more fight, more determination than Tottenham, and they were relegated before a ball was kicked. So from a Sheffield Wednesday part, I think fair play to them, to be fair.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, obviously, they were on -18. Since then, we've had another 2 points deduction. So Leicester, probably the biggest shock of the season, championship-wise, relegated in 23rd.
Yeah.
Now, they had a -6 point deduction, which even if they hadn't have had, would have still put them in the bottom 3. I think they'd have come 22nd, right? But what has happened at Leicester? From winning the Premier League 10 years ago to playing in Europe, they were still in a mid-table established Premier League side for a number of years, relegated, and then they've gone straight down to League One. It's a baffling situation what's happened there. I mean, they've still got some good players in that team and some experienced players at that. So from your perspective, Dean, what do you think has gone wrong for Leicester? Obviously, going from they've got back-to-back relegations.
Yeah.
So, do you think that's down to management? Is it? I mean, I know the owners haven't been they haven't funded Leicester amazingly, but like they've got the looks of Fatawu. I don't know. He's been their star player for years. They've got Begovic in goal, very experienced keeper. Ricardo Pereira, captain. It's a tough one. Do you think the players are past it, or again, is it all linked to this not having enough determination?
Yeah, I think there's just not been enough fight there. I mean, to be going down again to League One, it's a classic example like when Wolves were in the Championship and we didn't put enough fight in. We went straight down again as well. So I think, again.
So Fatawu, star player for Leicester, 44 games, and he finished the season with 9 goals and 7 assists. So he got 16 goal involvements, which for a team that have struggled all season isn't that bad at all. Now, it'd be interesting with where Fatawu is going to end up next season, because I don't know if we'll have a lot of clubs sniffing around. Obviously, with the season Leicester have had, it's going to put a lot of teams off with their performance. But in a poor Leicester team, 9 goals, 7 assists, that is not bad going.
No, definitely not.
Do you think he'll stay in the Championship? Do you think a newly promoted Premier League team will sniff around him? Or do you think he's going to end up abroad?
Right. I'm not too sure, to be honest with you. He's a very good player, isn't he? I mean, we watched him when we went to the Blues game, didn't we?
Yeah.
A little bit earlier on in the season. I wouldn't be able to quite tell you where he'd be. I think he's definitely Premier League quality.
He hasn't shown it this season, though.
No, but I don't think a lot of those.
No.
I don't think a lot of the players in the Leicester team have. So yeah,
it's a tough one. I mean, the other one is Steffi Mavadidi. Now he's another decent player, but he's just looked lazy this year. He's like not really been bothered about being there. Now, could the points deduction have affected their mentality? Do you think the players have thought, well, there's no point playing because we're going down? Or
no, I don't think that. I mean, if you look at the team before the points deduction, they weren't performing well, was they? So the points deduction, they were in and around that area beforehand. To be honest, it's you asked the question earlier when regarding Leicester, what's happened to them. I wouldn't be able to quite tell you, because you look at that team and you think that's more than an established team that should be staying in the Championship.
Minimum.
Yeah, minimum. They shouldn't be going down. No. I don't care what anyone says. That team was more than good enough to stay in the Championship, let alone go for automatics or promotion.
Well, it'd be interesting going into League One. What players stay? What players go? And whether they're going to be able to do anything next season, because League One's not an easy league. It's very physical.
Yeah.
And I don't think Leicester have that many physical type players. They've got a lot of good technical players. The only physical ones are the likes of like Lascelles. But I think Lascelles might be gone. I think his contract's up anyway. So it wouldn't surprise me if he leaves. So I think anything less than playoffs for Leicester next season would be a massive, massive failure. Having 2 seasons in League One would be awful for them. It's just a massive fall from grace. So winning the Premier League 10 years ago to League One is almost unheard of, really. I mean, I know they're the top 6 teams, but it's the equivalent of one of them doing it.
Well, they had the situation, didn't they, when they got relegated a couple of years prior, and obviously they came straight back up again. But you look at that team when they got relegated, and you thought, well, on paper, that team should never have got relegated.
No.
Also, to add, it's now 2-0 Tottenham for Richarlison.
Who scored the first?
Conor Gallagher.
Who was it?
Apparently, Villa fans are having a meltdown because their performance has been absolutely shocking, from what I'm hearing.
God. Well, that'll put Spurs, 1 point above the drop? With the same games?
With the same games played. But going back onto Leicester, they're going to have a lot of players on the books now, the likes of Harry Winks. That's on a lot of money.
I mean, it's rumoured he's on about 80-90k a week.
Yeah. They're going to have a bit of a clear out, and they're going to have to start again.
Thing is, you look at Winks, he was arguing with fans towards the end of the season. He's earning, I think he was the highest paid player in the Championship. Yeah. I don't think he's really done anything. He's looked poor all year. So if you're in Harry Winks' position, you can't be expecting a Premier League move, surely.
No, I don't think so.
But what Championship team is going to want him after his performance this year? I'm unsure, especially with it. Sure, I mean, that's if he demands the same wages as he's on now. But I think he's going to struggle to stay in England if that's what he wants, wage-wise. I don't know whether any English team would take a punt on him. based on his performances this season, is a Championship player. I know he's got a lot of Premier League experience, but he's been nowhere near at it this year. I mean, Jordan James, their young midfielder, he's been probably their best player. And
it's very hard to say because I don't, you don't say that players down tools, but players like the likes of Harry Winks, or like an Oliver Skip, or players like that, or like you say, Fatawu, they will get the moves anyway, just because of their quality, irrespective of what's happened with the team. Yeah. They'll get the moves. It's just from a Leicester point of view, I think it's about starting again, licking the wounds, and getting some players. The Deadwood players now, or players at the likes of Winks that are on high wages that they need to get rid of and start again.
Well, the other points deduction came fairly close to the end of the season with West Brom getting 2 points. Now, at the time, West Brom was safe. 2 point deduction came in, and it just meant they needed 1 point to stay up. So it put everybody's tails up, bit of nerves going around. I think I put this on Instagram. Do you think the West Brom point deduction should have happened this season, or do you think it should have happened at the start of next season? With the position they were in, battling, if they were mid-table with nothing to play for, it wouldn't have really mattered. But I think putting them similar to Leicester, really, they're already at the bottom end of the table. It's tough whether it was justified that they should have had it now, or whether it should have been at the start of the next season.
What was the reason that West Brom got the points?
Financial. It was FFP breach.
Right, okay. And did that happen during this season? Yeah. Well, I think then it should have happened this season, because if you're going based on Leicester's example, Leicester's 6 points deduction was partly because of the season before, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
So I think in that position, I think it should be effect. I don't think it should have an effect for next season. I think it should just have an impact on the current season if they're basing it on the current season.
It's not like it's played factor into them getting relegated, so
it could have done. That was the point at the time of. There was a lot of talk before the deduction. It was going to happen. It was going to happen. Now, if you're a team battling relegation, and you've got that lingering over you, right? Whether it's your West Brom or whether you're one of the teams below them, is it fair that West Brom are now safe, but they're then anticipating this points deduction, which then makes them unsafe again? So it's tough. I don't know how fair it was on the club.
I think naturally as well, it's going to unsettle the players and going to have an impact on the team.
But even players below them are going to be sniffing around, thinking, well, if they get 2 points deducted, we're back in it. But it was all the and ahhing. Was it going to happen this season? Was it going to happen next season? It seemed to go on for a week or 2 weeks. So it's tough, really. But obviously, being a Wolves fan, right, and West Brom being your rivals, it's obviously never nice to see a club have a points deduction.
No.
But do you think it was worthy of it being this season?
I'd say this season. The thing is, it's so difficult when it comes to football and FFP and all of these things, because we see all of these smaller clubs getting affected. When you have the big sharks in the Premier League, Man City and Chelsea currently going unpunished for all the charges that they've had faced against them and all the loopholes that they've managed to exploit. So I think, as a neutral, it's difficult to see sometimes when it's happening to all these other clubs.
Well, funny you say that, because Kevin DM'd us on Instagram, and he said that all these clubs keep getting hit with points deductions and City getting nothing. Similar to what you said, and it's true. Yeah. I mean, City have got how many?
It was over 100, wasn't it? 100 charges made against them.
It's gone very quiet. Nothing seems to have been done, or there's not even any rumours of points deductions, is there? In relation to the West Brom question, Charlie on TikTok said it should have happened next season, as it could have cost them relegation if they didn't pick up 3 points against either Preston or Watford. And Lewis, however, he then said it should happen this season. If a team deserves a points deduction, then they should get it straight away. So, mixture of opinions from all of us. Now, obviously, in the end, it didn't matter anyway because West Brom have stayed up. Admittedly, by the skin of their teeth, they haven't been anywhere near their best this season. But that point deduction could have been so much worse. And I think on our poll, I think about 75% of people said that it should have happened next season. But like Dean touched on, it's not fair that these smaller Championship clubs get punished, like Sheff Wednesday, for instance, when your Chelseas, your Man Cities are spending hundreds of millions of pounds every year. And
I think
just don't seem...
The case in point is, if it's worthy of the deduction, then absolutely, but that should be a precedent for all clubs going forwards, not that some clubs are exempt because they're able to rake in more money than others. I don't think that side of it's fair at all.
Villa breached it, didn't they, briefly? And I think they only got a fine rather than a points deduction. But it's like, you know, they're clearly looking at the figures of the Premier League, and I don't know, it's hard to justify how they can spend that much money when other teams in the Championship are struggling. I mean, I think to buy Sheff Wednesday at one point was 20 mil. And then you look at how much some Premier League teams make and how much they sign players for. It's ridiculous that they were put in
I'm
that.
just glad for one that West Brom are still in the Championship next season, because then I'll get to see Wolves and West Brom.
Yeah, Wolves, West Brom.
Which hopefully doesn't reach the levels that it did in the FA Cup in 2024, because the scenes in that game weren't the best to watch.
No. Well, I'd say it's the end of our Championship chat, to be fair. Obviously, the Liverpool-Man United game's not long finished, and we've got an avid Liverpool supporter sat in front of us. So, what did you make of the game, Liverpool-Man United? Obviously, you've had a bit of an iffy season. It's not been anywhere near the levels of when Klopp was here, and you've got Salah leaving at the end of the season. There's rumours of Alisson going. What's happened? What's happened this year that hasn't worked?
I think you can put a lot of contributing factors onto it, to be fair, mate. You know, I think you've had the loss of Jota at the start of the season. I don't think you can use that as an excuse for the whole thing, but I think that definitely had a part to play. I think you've had a lot of injuries throughout the season to players that, you know, you brought in the summer, the likes of Isaac.
It's been another one. It took him a while to get going.
To get in, and then he had a couple of injuries here and there. You've had other players like Conor Bradley or obviously XTK now, later on in the season. And I think, you know, selling players that he didn't actually replace, the likes of Diaz and Trent.
Well, you were against the Diaz deal.
You were talking to you about the Diaz deal. They never replaced those players, and the players that he brought in. The squad wasn't big enough, and the quality, you know, in my opinion, wasn't as good as it should have been. I mean, if you look on paper in the summer, I think everyone was happy with the summer signings that they made.
It looked like you were going to steamroll them.
I think at the start of the season, everyone was saying that was what was going to happen. I mean, I for one, I thought, you know, the players that we brought in, I thought we've got a very good chance to go on and win this league again. The money they spent and the players they bought, the likes of Isaac, XTK, Birds, the fullbacks, Frimpong and Kirkes, Maranashvili, who was going to be back up for Alisson at the time. Those players, they looked like, you know, they were going to be improvements to the team. But for whatever reason this season...
Do you think egos have got in the way? Because there's a lot of talk in football in general of players having egos. And obviously there was the Isak saga in the summer where he just refused to play for Newcastle. Sort of forced him into accepting the mega money deal from Liverpool. And then he's not really got going. But do you think there's a lot of players in this squad that are suffering with an ego, and as a result of it, it's detrimental to the team's performance, or do you think it's just poor management?
I think it could be a combination of both, because if you look at it, you've definitely got egos in the team. You've got Salah, who wants to always be the star player and the main man. And you've seen him a couple of times this season through his tours out of the Prem. There's talks of him going in January. And he, there was a big argument with Slot by the sense that he came out in public and said he was that would have possibly been his last game in January. Isak, he hasn't played virtually at all this season because of his massive injury. But he was one for Newcastle. The team was built around him.
Newcastle definitely struggled without him.
Oh yeah, 100%. But I think if you say I think you need to have a couple of egos in the team so you can you need players that have got a bit of arrogance. I would say not necessarily arrogance, because that's what makes the difference between a good player and a world class player, in my opinion.
You've got to believe in yourself at that level. It's simple as that.
A lot of it is how the manager manages the egos in a club.
Yeah,
and sometimes if these egos start to take over, and the manager starts to lose the dressing room, that's when it can all go on, which I think is sort of what's happened at Spurs.
I think in a lot of aspects with Liverpool as well, there's been cases of poor management because Arne Slot insists on playing Cody Gakpo week in, week out to having an awful season, in my opinion. I don't think he's made much of an impact in that side at all. I think we've had patches, no doubt. We've seen that he can be a great player, but he insists on consistently playing him, and I don't think he's making an impact in that side.
No. It's a tough one. Who do you think you're going to get rid of then come the summer? Obviously, we know Salah's gone.
I mean, Robertson's going.
Yeah, Robertson is obviously going. Alisson's very touch and go at the moment. It's very quiet on his future. Do you think you will see the back of him or not?
No, I'd like to think not. I'm not too sure.
Because
there was talks of him having an extension on his contract another year.
Because you have got Mamardashvili.
Yes, but I don't think Mamardashvili has proved that he is,
ready for that
step up. I don't think he's anywhere near that level of Alisson quite yet. I don't think he's a bad keeper at all. I think he could prove to be a very good keeper in the future, but at this moment in time, no. To be honest with you, I think there's going to be a big overhaul at Liverpool in the summer. I think it depends on one, if they do get European spots,
which it looks like they will. To be fair,
there's a high chance that they could still get it despite the result today. I think it very much depends on what happens with the manager, to be quite honest with you, because I think if they keep Slot, which there's a very highly likely chance in my opinion, I think he will stay, as much as I don't want him to.
Yeah.
They will have to buy players that are, one, good enough for playing for Liverpool, but also, secondly, they're going to have to be players that are suitable for his style of play, because otherwise, what's the point of having that manager in? Because if you, for example, went for a Xabi Alonso, which is what I would do in my opinion, then he would have a completely different set of personnel, because he wouldn't play anything like the way that Slot plays, and he'd probably change his formation. So, yeah, it's I'm not too sure. There's going to be a lot of big things happening at Liverpool this summer, so I'm not too sure on that one.
Do you think Slot should still be there, Dean?
I think at the moment there's a lot of distrust between Slot and Liverpool fans. I think a lot of fans have become tired with how this season's played out, and I think Slot in general has made quite a few poor decisions throughout the season. And at the end of the day, I think Liverpool fans are struggling as well because they're not seeing that same sort of hunger and intensity that they had under Klopp. So I think now adjusting to how it's been under Slot this season, I think potentially he'll obviously continue and get next season onwards, but I think...
Do you think he'll get the whole season?
I'm thinking a decision will be made partway through the season. I think if results like this season continue on into the early part of next season, I won't be surprised if within a few months we see Slot leave and somebody else comes in.
Thing is with that, and there's a lot of talk around managers in football in general, but I don't know who you'd bring in. There's not that many choices at the moment of managers without clubs. So it's then the question of, would you be able to poach a manager from another team? Which obviously comes with a fee. And they're always reluctant to let managers go mid-season, especially at the start of the season if they've had some pre-season. Because arguably that's one of the most important parts of the season for a club, is getting pre-season under your manager and knowing what he expects. So it's a tough one.
Well, Liverpool have never really shown any signs of being rash.
No.
They've always given the managers time. To, there was a time under Klopp when we had a really poor season. Ended up finishing third that season. But there was a time where people were saying for Slot to be sacked, or that we weren't playing anywhere near good enough. Now I think Slot and Klopp are completely different kettle of fish in terms of the personality and the demeanour, and I think Klopp was always lauded. He had the personality back behind him, and he was loved and adored. I think Slot, okay, yes, he won the Premier League last season. That's no mean feat. But I don't think he's loved as much as Klopp was. So yeah, like you say, it's not like there's managers galore out there anyway. But I think the one that everyone's been talking about is probably Xabi Alonso, and he's the one that is currently not in any club at the moment. So I think it'll be a very interesting summer to see what they do on that front.
And I think if they're looking to get the most out of Frimpong and Wirtz, then as well, somebody that's had the experience to manage those players before, then it's
a good point.
It's a safe option to go with.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we better start wrapping this up, really. We've got one more question from Simeon on Instagram, who's asked, who do we think will win the Premier League? So I'd like it to be Arsenal. Have a different winner for once, but it's typical Arsenal, isn't it, to start bottling it at this time of the year. And I can't see City dropping any more points. I think City's goal difference is better anyway, isn't it? But I can just see City scoring more goals.
No, it's not. No,
is it not?
So Arsenal have played 2 games more now, and they've got the better goal difference.
Have they? Oh, but that's with 2 games more then.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be City. Dean?
I'm going to bank on City as well. Yeah. I think Arsenal have proven time and time again that when it comes down to the wire, they just can't seem to manage it. No doubt they've got an incredible squad, but for some reason,
pressure gets
I think they just crumble under the pressure, and we've seen that time and time again. Whereas City, they continue to stay strong and win year after year. So I would not be surprised at all if that happens. But yeah, I'm going to go with City.
I would probably go with City as well. I think based on the last couple of years, knowing as a Liverpool fan myself that how ruthless City are when it comes to this stage of the season, where we were in a position when we faced them on 2 occasions where we lost 8 by a point. They've got the players that have been there and done it before.
So they've got the experience.
They've got the experience. Like you say, Arsenal haven't been in that position yet, where they've won it. They've got over the line. I think City, the fact that they beat Arsenal a couple of weeks ago, I think that will psychologically will affect them. Even though I know they've only got 3 games left. I personally just think City have got the better team. They've got the mentality and they've got the know-how. So if I was to pick, I would say City as well.
Well, one thing we have discovered between the 3 of us is how big mentality is. Whether you're challenging for the Premier League or battling relegation to League One, it's a massive thing, isn't it? I suppose thank you to everyone for getting in touch with us and asking us questions and voting on the polls and stuff on Instagram. It's been good. And talking of Instagram, how many followers are we up to now? About 340, is it?
I think around about that ballpark.
Yeah. So we've, considering we hadn't done our first episode until now, I think we've done all right. Obviously, if you enjoyed this type of thing, let us know. It's something we'd all like to do more of, wouldn't it? Depending on
100%.
how well we do on it, and if people like this type of thing. If you don't like it, don't comment. I think best thing in it, we'll just pretend you do like it and take it from there. But no, do you think it's gone all right?
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah,
Had a good time.
Yeah.
nice
First time, I've enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
So, yeah, until next time, hope you've enjoyed it.